That's it. I am done with this braid junk. Hey guys, I love braid. I use it on everything. Everything. What is happening, fishing friends? Welcome to another episode of DEBO'S Fishing. It's the last day of the work week for me, so that means you are all probably hungry for some fish food for thought. Well, today I'm going to feed your brains with a little discussion. Should you use braid? Should you use braid on everything? Or should you not use braid at all? Interesting, right? Well, I'm going to feed you with some of that right now. So get your popcorn ready, all arms and legs inside the vehicle at all times. Buckle up because we're going to go on an adventure and talk about braid. All right, so why would you use this stuff? Why use braid? Well, to start out, braid has almost no stretch. So it's great for long casts. You can get a really good hook set on it. You can drop down to a little bit softer action rod and still get a good hook set. Kayak anglers love it too, because if you're in a boat sitting down, you can't stand up and get a huge hook set. Works really well for kayak anglers. Now, as it goes from the bait to you, it has increased sensitivity. That no stretch means you can feel that tick on the end of the line come all the way up your line, up to your reel. Now, speaking of the reel, once you get it on your reel, you'll notice that braid has a smaller diameter than the other nylons, like, monofilament or a fluorocarbon. You can get the same weight for a substantially smaller diameter. Now, that's helpful because that will also allow you to cast farther. Lighter weight lines, especially braid with no memory or anything, you can sling it a mile. Now, I personally use braid on all of my spinning reels, period. It allows me to fish things that I want to with braid. If I want to put a leader on there, if I'm fishing a finesse, I can do that. So I think it comes really in handy for those applications. But you get increased strength. So if I can put some of this on at 65 pounds, chuck my frog out there and bring in a 70-pound grass mat, this stuff will hold. This is what I go to for any sort of frogging, for sure. Any sort of really deep punching. I'm also going to use braid. I think it works perfect for those applications. And on top of all that, it floats. Get it on top? It floats. Now, what's helpful about it floating is you can really, like I said, fish a frog. You can fish your top waters. And if you wanted to, you could even be somebody that ties a leader on just your regular casting rods and go braid to leader. I personally don't do that. I don't want an extra knot in there. When I'm fishing something with a whole bunch of torque, it doesn't have really good shock absorption. You set the hook on a fish, the braid digs into the reel a little bit. The next cast, you cock back and throw it. Zzz, snap. I've done it. You've probably done it as well. You learn that after you set the hook on braid and it digs in, the next cast you throw real light, make sure it's out of there, and then work as normal. But it doesn't have a good shock absorption. So a cast like that will snap your braid, no problem, especially if it's dry. Additionally, if you fish a braid that's really limp, there's all kinds of different braids out there, but some of them are like a string. If you get a backlash with one of those, you knot up, oh man, it's bad news. You can't pick it out because as soon as you start picking it out, your braid's gonna fray. Oh, it can be a nightmare. And also, some people have troubles with their braid knots slipping. I think that's maybe more due to the knot you're using, because I have never had an issue with a braid knot slipping. In fact, I have the other problem, which is if you get snagged with braid, it is near impossible to get it out. So you've either got to somehow straighten the hook. If you're fishing a really big, thick, heavy wire hook, which I usually am with braid, it's near impossible, so you end up having to cut it or wade into the water. You see where this is going. You can probably see that's bright green. You can see braid. Fish can see braid. So when we put all that together, what does it really mean? Should you use braid on everything, or should you only use braid in certain applications? Maybe you feel you should never use braid. Well, the things that we know in real life applications that we can certainly look at and say, braid is more visible to us underwater. Now, I've read many studies that say fish can see 4 to 5 times better than us. So let's say you drop your lure down in the water and you can see it about a foot down. A fish should theoretically be able to see that lure from 4 to 5 feet. Maybe more, maybe less. I'm not sure what the exact number is, but they can see better than us underwater. Now, if they can see a bait better, why wouldn't they be able to see the line better? They would, right? Well, I think a lot of that has to do with the water clarity. If you're fishing really dirty water, I don't think that's really going to matter as much, especially if you're fishing a reaction bait. If you're fishing a moving bait, a crankbait, somewhere it's just coming by them and they're snapping it out of instinct, I don't think you're going to have any issues with braid. On the other side of that thought, If you're in a super, really clear lake or pond and you're fishing a little finesse bait, a drop shot, to me, if anything looks weird about that, I think that's definitely going to affect your bite. You can go into a really pressured lake and fish 10, 12 pound fluorocarbon, you know, on a shaky head or something. You drop all the way down to that same shaky head on, you know, 6, 8 pound line where it gets really hard to see. You notice a difference. I've done it. I've noticed a difference on a really pressured pond that I fish. So that kind of ties me into the last train of thought. When you think about it, is it really the line, or is it the application and how that line is presenting the bait to the bass? Now, I'm a firm believer that locating fish and being confident in your decision is the best asset an angler can have. Now, that's going to be another discussion because I will argue that until I am passed out on the sofa from arguing. But being able to locate fish is paramount. And once you've located the fish, you need to key in on what they want. So what's braid going to do to your lure? Well, in real life applications, we know that it's going to affect the fall rate. It's going to affect the vibration of your lure. It's going to affect the depth at which your lure goes to. So I think people often mistake the braid itself for the actual application of the bait. You throw a stick bait out there, a stick bait that's pretty buoyant. You fish it on braid, it takes a whole lot longer to get down there than if you were to fish, say, 17 pound fluorocarbon. Fluorocarbon brings it down to a pretty good amount. So maybe if you were out there fishing the braid, the fish don't want it real slow. They want it a little bit faster. You're fishing in summer, for example, the metabolism's higher. Maybe they're a little bit more aggressive. Maybe you're fishing over grass beds. You're fishing a square bill on braid. You're 2 feet above the grass bed with braid because it brings your bait up higher. But let's say instead of, you know, fishing 30 pound braid, you were fishing 10 pound fluorocarbon. That bait's going to get down there a lot farther, and it's going to have a little bit different vibration. So I often at times think that people mistake the braid itself for what it's doing to the lure. Now maybe that's completely wrong, but that's why I am feeding you all. So I need you all in the comments right now to let me know what you think. Should you fish braid? Should you fish straight braid? Should you only fish against certain applications? Spinning reels, frogging. You let me know. This is a series for all of you. Let's help each other learn. So I hope that helps. I hope I have fed you for the night. Please drop a comment below. I would seriously appreciate it. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do for more fun fish food for thought videos and all kinds of other things that I'm up to. And if you have any suggestions for a video, leave those below too. So until next time, everyone.